The reason was because we heard from you. We heard from citizens, most of whom go along doing their daily business, working, taking care of their families, that sort of thing, assuming that their government's doing their job. And when they found out that their government wasn't going to do their job, they said, you're going to hear from us. And when government does hear that message, it suddenly does the right thing, similar to what Mark was talking about earlier. So the resolution was passed. I had a conversation with Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli a few weeks ago. It was a little bit of a dust-up about something, and he called me, and I asked him about the Prince William County policy, and he goes, I was living in Centerville at the time. He now lives in Prince William County. We have a lot of good conservatives in Prince William County. He said, I was living in Centerville at the time, and I knew that your policy was working because we had a one-way caravan of illegal immigrants leaving Prince William County and coming into Fairfax County. Because there's no question in my mind that it worked. The press went nuts, the mainstream press. Oh, this is going to devastate your economy. This is going to somehow lead to an increase in crime. Like, okay, yeah, figure that one out. And the numbers came back, and the police numbers came back from our police department. And what it showed was, in that first year, was a near 20% decrease in the violent crime rate in Prince William County. That first year. And then they said, well, that's an aberration. Yeah. And then the next year comes back, and there's another 20% decrease. There was a total of a 37% drop in violent crime over that 2-year period of time in Prince William County. And that's a big county. We got 500 police officers, 400,000 residents. It's a very large county, and for even minor changes in the crime rate are significant in a large locality like that. So they said, well, you can't connect the two things. Well, just because something follows, just because you did it and you have a huge drop in violent crime doesn't mean that it was caused by your cracking down on illegal immigration. There must be something else going on. So after some members of the board, unconvinced, said, well, why don't we get a neutral third party to study the effects of the illegal immigration crackdown in Prince William County, study the effects on the county over a 3-year period of time. Like, all right, if that's what it takes to make you happy, fine, we'll do it. Well, the county staff goes out and they retain the University of Virginia to analyze this. And Dr. Guterbach up there, who does a survey of county residents every year, and the whole department, it was a very expensive study, I'll tell you that much. They went ahead and then subcontracted part of the study to the Police Executive Research Forum, or commonly known as PERF. And now the thing about PERF, and which made me very nervous about this when I found out, is that PERF, the Police Executive Research Forum, has been very loudly opposed to local or state law enforcement agencies getting involved with immigration enforcement. But the study came out this past November, and this is what it showed. And it was almost kind of pathetic to watch a member of PERF deliver the results. Because what we found was that the crackdown on illegal immigration was directly tied to a 47% drop in aggravated assaults in Prince William County. Wow. It was tied to a 41% drop in hit and runs. And they concluded that most of the illegal immigrants who fled Prince William County, thousands of them, did so because of the policy, not because of the underlying economics of the construction industry going into the tank. Some left for that reason, but they compared Prince William County to our neighboring county, also very fast-growing county, Loudoun County, and were able to compare the two things. Now, the question is, though, we know now that the policy worked, but where did the illegal immigrants go? And they did. A lot of them went to Fairfax County. And there's a very famous incident, or infamous incident, depending on which side of the aisle you're on. So my counterpart at the time, now Congressman Jerry Connolly, a real socialist I might add, in Fairfax County, was chairman of the board of supervisors of Fairfax County. He's holding his budget hearings, and he's the school superintendent of Fairfax County came up in front of the board of supervisors and said, Mr. Chairman, we have an unexpected increase in our school population and hence our costs. Most of these are ESOL students, English as a second language students. They're more expensive to educate and so forth, and so we got a real budgetary problem here. Oh, and by the way, most of them have come from Prince William County. You know, Jerry and I had been arguing fiercely back and forth in the press, and he's an angry liberal. And he's got this vein that kind of goes through, well, anyway. So he goes, how do you know that they came from Prince William County? And the superintendent said, well, sir, we have their transcripts. We began, as they increased taxes in Fairfax, we cut $150 million off our budget. $150 million, that's in actual dollars. That's not, you know, some liberals will say, a lot of rhinos will say this too, they'll say, well, we reduced spending. Well, they reduced spending from their planned increase, so they didn't spend as much more as they had originally intended, you know, that kind of thing. We've actually reduced spending by $150 million over that period of time. Tax bills today, not adjusted for inflation, even more so when adjusted, are below where they were in 2007. And the county is now the #1 job growth county in the Commonwealth of Virginia, #1 in job growth in the DC region. And that has been done by essentially getting government out of the way, deregulating, taking us out. Our environmental regulations were ridiculous. They had stopped being a protection to the environment and simply became business impediments. We reduced the size of government, and as a result, the private sector has filled the gap, come in, and now we're growing, and we're growing very well. The average value in Prince William County, housing value, is up 10% from last year, and things are going very well. But the problem remains that most of the illegal immigrants did in fact go to neighboring counties, Loudoun County, Fairfax County, some notorious examples of violent criminals who left Prince William and went to Montgomery County. And the other part of the problem is this, is that on August the 1st of 2010, last year, at 8 o'clock in the morning, 3 nuns were on their way to church at 8 o'clock in the morning and were hit by a drunk driver who was an illegal alien. Now, what makes this story extra tragic is that the first time that this drunk illegal alien was pulled for a DUI, this was his 3rd one. The first one, Prince William County, 2007, before the policy's in place, we pull him over, he's DUI, we don't check his immigration status, he serves a sentence, he's released back into the community. 2009, policy's in place. Police pull him over, check his immigration status, he's held in jail. We put an immigration detainer on him, he's held in jail, he serves his sentence for the underlying crime. In handcuffs, we hand him over to Immigration and Customs Enforcement, delivered. We already, under the 287G authority, we initiated the deportation proceedings. Federal government, the whole job is done. All you gotta do is deport him. He's dangerous. They released him. They released him, and not only did they release him, but they provided him with an employment authorization card. That's your federal government. This guy was dangerous, and he was here illegally. Folks, this is not the exception. When this incident was infamous this past summer, and Janet Napolitano makes a big statement, I can't imagine how this happened. We're going to do an investigation. Well, it's a little bit like O.J. Simpson hiring somebody to investigate who killed his wife. We knew, everybody knows where the fault lies. It's with the administration itself. We feared that they were going to try to blame this on some low-level bureaucrat as a mistake. It wasn't a mistake, it's a policy. In fact, one of the Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents told me on the phone, and I won't give her name out because she asked me not to, but there are somewhere between 1 and 2 million illegal aliens who in the past have been apprehended by local state law enforcement, handed over to federal authorities for deportation, and who were subsequently released by your federal government. They're out there in your neighborhoods, they're criminals, they're dangerous, and they're not supposed to be here in the first place. Now, what we've got to do is keep the iron to we've got to keep some feet to the fire here, the Republicans who are elected to the House, because the one thing we can do, and we try to get this information through FOIA, we try to get this information by requesting it. I was on Fox News asking for this information, they still won't provide it, but we now control, the Republicans control the House Judiciary Committee and the Subcommittee on Immigration. We, meaning conservatives, can issue a congressional subpoena to Janet Napolitano demanding, compelling her agency to hand over this information. Give us the names, and as far as you know, where they are, the addresses, contact information of every single illegal alien who's committed a crime and who you've released. And when that information is released, and you find out that there's somebody who's done some, there's a couple kids in the audience, so I'm not going to tell you some of the crimes that these people are convicted of and released. It's heinous. When you find out that they're in your neighborhood, released by your government, you're going to have a conniption fit. You're going to absolutely go crazy, and that's exactly what we have to make sure that Congress does this coming session. Last thing I'm going to tell you, and then I'll be happy to answer any questions. I have a card in front of you, the Virginia Rule of Law. It's a little bit of information about the Virginia Rule of Law. What we are attempting to do is to pass the Prince William County policy statewide in the Commonwealth of Virginia. It's common sense. We just had another killing by an illegal immigrant of a 23-year-old Virginian in Hanover County, another drunk driver who shouldn't have been here in the first place, who should have been deported, and this is going to continue. There are going to be tragedies after tragedies after tragedies. It's a two-step approach. We're going to make changes on the federal side, but we can start right here in Virginia. I completely agree with Mark. People are watching Virginia.
Yes.
People are watching Virginia. If we get this thing passed in 2011, great, in the General Assembly. If we don't get it passed in 2011 in the General Assembly, guess what? We have an election. We're one of those few states that has an election in November of 2011. We can use this as a bat, a political bat, against those liberals in the Senate who refuse to pass a crackdown on illegal immigration in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So please, if you can, fill out the card. You can go online and fill it out. We can keep in touch this way, and I can let you know exactly who's supporting the bill, who's not supporting the bills, and who to contact. So with that, thank you very much. Happy to answer any questions.